Okay, so developing last time onto our A3 sheet for modelling ideas. So you can see what I've got here is a sheet of A3 paper with my design ideas ready to be annotated. So last week what we did is we had a go at creating our cutlery out of card, and you can see here I've developed that onto a worksheet. I've started off at this side by explaining everything that we did in the tutorial last week. We started with a piece of cardboard that we folded in half, and we cut out our shapes to make sure that they were symmetrical. And what I've done at this side is I've put down that information. I've started off by putting down a grid that explains the dimensions. So you can see I've got 14 centimetres, 2 for the handle and 3 for the utensil at the top. And I've drawn the shape that I originally began with as my idea for a utensil. I've annotated that with some notes to explain how I've done that. Then I've actually stuck on the two models that I made to begin with, and I've started to explain the development from one to the other, how I've changed the utensil shape from this, thinking a bit more ergonomically, and eventually changing my mind to come up with this particular shape. So on your worksheet, you need to make sure that you have annotated around here. There will be some notes to help you do that on the PowerPoint. So in the center, what I've now got is I've got a utensil set. So instead of just the spoon, I've got a knife, fork and spoon. I've created all three. So what you could do for this is you could actually trace your design that you've created for your spoon and make that into your next utensil. So the handle is absolutely the same, but what I have done is change the top. I've kept the width of the spoon for my fork, and the reason for that is that children tend to still need to be able to shovel their food, so they've got a nice wide bit at the top. I've also given it 4 prongs along the top so that they've got plenty of space to be able to pick their food up if they need to pick it up. So think about that. Think about the ergonomics, but also think about how they're going to use this particular bit at the top. So that was my my fork and my spoon. For the knife, I've changed it slightly. So what we've got here is a shorter, stumpier handle. And the reason that I changed this is because of the way that somebody's going to use it. With these two utensils, we tend to hold them in the middle of our hand like this. A child begins to realise that this isn't a very effective way of cutting up their food, and they begin to rotate the hand round so that they can cut the food more like this. And eventually, we want them to be able to put their finger on the end of there to give it a bit of pressure too. So I've changed the design on the handle to use that as part of my design idea. Those are my 3 cutlery designs. What I can do now is I can stick those in that center area. Think about how you're going to lay that out, how is best to do it. You could put them all together in a row like that, or you could put them down the center. Just think graphically what looks pretty good before you start to annotate and explain what you've done. So explain for me the changes in the handle, the utensil at the end, and how you've come up with a concept for the knife, okay? Once you've done your utensil set, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to move on to making a 3D version. What I've done here is I've sourced some packaging cardboard that came in the post. Not too thick. You don't want your cardboard to be too thick because you need to be able to cut it with a normal pair of scissors. If you haven't got any of that, then just try and see if you can find some thick card to use in the house. So taking my first utensil that we started with, the spoon, I've cut exactly the same shape out again out of the cardboard. But this time what I've begun to do is to add some dimensional pieces to it. I've used the cardboard to cut out some extra bits to stick over the top. And what I'm trying to emulate here is the 3-dimensional shape of the handle. You could do both sides to do that. You can also bend the cardboard, so you can see I'm molded it, bending it. So I'm trying to think about how this would work as a particular utensil piece. That's the spoon. You can see I've done something slightly different with the fork. I'm just experimenting here to give you some ideas. So instead of building it up in 3 dimensions, you could build it up in a pattern. So this one has got ridges on it that would, again, make it quite easy to be able to grip. So you could do that, or you could combine the two. So this one's got a bit of both. It's got the use of the ridges to give it a 3-dimensional part, and I've put the bits there so they've got a bit of grip if they need the grip. Develop all 3 of them so that you've got a whole set, stick them onto the worksheet, and then again we can annotate around here. Now with my particular sheet, I've kept it quite simple by just dividing it into 3 sections, so it's easy to see the development across the worksheet. You can do this in any particular way you want. It doesn't have to be done like this. You could overlap your ideas in much more of a haphazard way if you prefer, as long as you annotate it and as long as the examiner can read from one side to the other and understand exactly how you've got from this idea to your final designs over at this side. Use the worksheets that are attached to help you think about what to say and how to annotate it. I look forward to seeing how you can produce this and emailing me if you've got any questions as usual. Good luck.